Hey, what's going on? This is the Soapboxx Podcast. I am your host, TJ Legacy, and I am here with the fam, all the way from NYC. You can see him. What's up, Alan? What's going on, man?
What's up to the people? What's up to the people? Hope y'all washing your hands and staying safe.
Yeah, hopefully everyone is. Also, all the way from Duval County. What's going on, Ish?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Had to unmute myself. How are you doing, TJ?
I'm good. I'm, just kind of getting used to this whole quarantine, and it's getting old, but but we're here. Well, we're here. We're good. Tallahassee zone. Well, in Tallahassee. What's going on, Javonni? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Just maintaining, trying to survive with the social distancing and trying to make sure other people are being uplifted at this time.
I know. I hear you. There's still some folks that's still in churches. I don't get it. Some folks still trying to go to church and, still conjugating and not practicing social distancing. So I don't know. But everybody's got their own game plan. Everybody's got their own game plan with this whole thing. And all the way from Boston, Brockton, what's going on, Jesse?
What's poppin'?
Yes.
How you doing today?
Hey man, I'm good. I see you in the Knicks throwback bomber jacket. Y'all look. This is so everybody is decked out in their sports apparel. And this is because we have a special sports edition right now with all the quarantine stuff going on. We really miss sports. At least I do. So we thought it would be cool to have a couple guests and be able to have a sports edition. So from ESPN Orlando, friend of the show, ESPN Orlando 580, we have Sam Albuquerque, who was also the host of Take a Left at Albuquerque podcast. What's going on, Sam?
What's up, TJ? How's it going, man?
Pretty good. How's everything going in sports world? You still recording in studio, or you're doing everything remote?
I'm more in the news side these days because of the whole coronavirus. We got our pretty much our regular programming on ESPN 580. I'm being repurposed for the more important things. Just producing on our news partner, News 96.5 WDBO. So it's life is pretty normal for me because I have to go to work pretty much every day. But other than that, it's still a little weird to not be able to go get a bite to eat at Chipotle or something. But everything's pretty good at work. So
yeah. It's weird. And I think unfortunately, I think it only is going to get worse as people kind of get more and more cabin fever with what's going on. But we also have a special guest. I was going to introduce, but I think it's only right because this is Ish's Connect. I think it's only right for Ish if you could introduce our second special guest to the program.
Of course. All right. So today's other special guest, a very good guy at heart and spirit, is Tavaris Barnes. He's a former NFL player and an American professional football defensive end for the DC Defenders of the XFL. And some of the NF teams are the Saints, the Seahawks, Buccaneers, and a few others. Again, first and foremost, thank you for being here. And I guess I'll throw it back to TJ because I don't want to start like the questions that I have for him.
You're good. You're good. Welcome, Tavaris. What's up, man? Hold on, let me unmute you.
I'm muted.
Yep. How you doing?
Can you hear? Man, I'm well, man. I appreciate you having me. How you doing?
No, hey, man, I'm doing well. Like everybody said, I think everybody's trying to deal with the whole social distancing thing in their own way. And as as an athlete, I know you have to, Ish will get into, some insight as to your routine and how this has affected you. But before we all get started, I wanted to start with Jesse. Jesse, what's popping?
What's popping? So yeah, former New England Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I live here in New England, but I'm not really a New England fan. I'm always gonna be a New Yorker, so I'm a New Yorker fan. So I always mess up their names up.
Respect.
But yes, former New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady gave a surprisingly candid interview with legend radio host Howard Stern. So my question is, what about, and this question, I'm going to throw it to Samuel first. What about, first of all, did you hear that interview?
Yeah, I got bits and parts of it. I heard more of the sports stuff that they played on ESPN as opposed to the life stuff that I heard about outside of that.
Okay. So can I ask you, what about that interview initially surprised you?
I mean, Brady to me was always like, the reason he went to Tampa was always that it was a little bit of I didn't feel love in New England. Like, that's what it felt like from the outside. So him going to Tampa, like, and it felt like Belichick didn't love me, so I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna prove that I may be 43, but I'm still gonna ball out. When he on that interview, he was very he defended his boy Bill. Like, he said that he needed Bill to be successful, Bill needed him, and it was an equal partnership. And I didn't think he would be that candid and praising Bill Belichick as opposed to saying that a lot of it was on him. So I just thought he would avoid any question on that. But I guess if he goes on Howard Stern, he's going to talk about just about anything, and he did.
True. How about you, Tavaris? Did you watch that or hear that interview?
Nah, to be honest, I don't watch TV since sports not on, and I'm not on social media right now. I'm taking a break. I'm fasting from it. Oh, I didn't hear anything about that. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I caught it, Jess. And I think what's kind of candid about the Tom Brady interview was that we don't really get to hear Tom Brady be candid and be open and free with the conversation because of the quote unquote Patriots way. He doesn't necessarily give insight into his personal life. Like he mentioned Giselle, like they were almost on the brink of divorce because him and Giselle was like, well, you do football, you play football for in the regular season, and then after the regular season, you are now you go into your businesses like the TB12 that he's been pushing, and so now she was like, well, this system works for you as far as the family, the kids, and everything like that, but it doesn't necessarily work for him. So she in the interview, he talks about how she wrote him a letter and basically gave him that an ultimatum. So it was kind of candid to see, like, wait, you could win 6 Super Bowls, but at home you still got to be a husband, and you still just Thomas Brady, and your wife is a supermodel, and you got to do things. Yep. So you have to. So what he talked about was that's one of the reasons why he started skipping OTAs. So it had nothing to do with like friction within the Patriots organization. It had more to do with him really trying to keep his personal life together and keep his wife happy and pitch out around the house.
Unless his PR agent is really smart, because another way that I looked at it is, because I feel like there are other reasons why there was tension, but a good way to like just say, this is the reason like why I did it is like I had to make sure like my home base was good, because most of these wives know what they're dealing with when they marry these men, so you ride it out technically to the end of their career. I'm saying I don't think that's the first and foremost reason why the tension was between him and his team, but it's a good reason because no one's gonna dog him out for being a good husband.
Are you insinuating
like,
that Thomas?
I don't think that's the leading reason.
Are you insinuating that Thomas Brady is? Are you insinuating that Deflategate might have been a cheater?
I'm saying that his PR agent is smart by using that as the first and foremost reason as to why he's kind of like he didn't like show up to some of the off-season practices, like he's done for like the last 19 years or so. Like all of a sudden now it's like, okay, I have to get this in order at home. I don't think that was the first reason.
You see,
well, I mean, OTAs isn't
why he started acting out. I think it's a good reason to show to the public, as far as what people are going to say and talk about. People aren't going to condemn him for being a good husband. So it was a good leading reason as to why he was like doing things differently.
You see, this is why we have to have more women in these internal investigations. See, their intuition be like, no, it wasn't this. His ass was cheating, and that's why he needs to be suspended for. Could you imagine the NFL?
I'm saying I think it's a good cover up for like what may have really been going on. It's probably a part of a reason, like on the list 3 or 4, but who knows if that's the top reason.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I just feel
before we do that, because me as I am definitely partially a Bucks fan. I'm also a Seminole fan, so I got the whole my man Jameson. He's gonna be out of town in a little bit, so I'm a little on the fence about this whole thing, just because my man is out of here. But just give me some quick record predictions for the next year for Tampa. What we looking at? 12-4, 13-3. Y'all tell me.
What do you think? What do you think, Sam? I'm gonna throw to Sam. What do you think, Sam? Because
I mean, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
For Tampa, let's see. I mean, they're in the NFC South, so you got the Saints are coming back with Breeze. They just picked up Emmanuel Sanders to add to that receiving core, so the Saints are probably going to be as good as ever. I doubt that the Bucks, just because they got Brady, mean they're going to win the NFC South, because I think that combination and that continuity they got in New Orleans is probably going to be the best team in that division. Doesn't mean I don't think they'll make the playoffs. I think they will. Looking at Carolina and looking at Atlanta's defense isn't where they wanted it to be. So I doubt they'll step up unless they completely overhaul that team. But they don't have any cap room, so that's probably not going to happen. And Carolina's in a weird rebuilding where they give Teddy Bridgewater $60 million, but they cut everybody else. And Luke Kuechly retires, so I don't know exactly what Carolina's doing. But I don't think they'll be great. So it's really going to be Tampa and New Orleans fighting for that division crown. I'll give it to New Orleans just because of the continuity with the probably going to be shortened off season because of coronavirus. I think Tampa lands anywhere from like 10 to 12 wins, probably wild card team. Could make a run. Like if you got Brady on your team in the playoffs, you're probably you can make a run. So I'm never gonna doubt him. But I think New Orleans right now to me is my favorite coming out of the NFC. So I doubt they'll lose the division.
You know what I think is really weird? When people like Allen proudly say they're a Tampa Bay Bucks fan, because that's going to get some you getting used to. Because a couple years ago, well, that wasn't the case. But you said that real quick as a Bucks fan. Okay, we get it. You got Brady. We get it.
And I'm not. My thing is, I'm pretty apprehensive because I'm also, if everyone knows me, I have 2 homes, so New York and Florida. So yes, I'm a Bucks fan. Like I said, I grew up with the Seminoles, so I used to be a Warrick Dunn fan, and so when Warrick Dunn came to Tampa, that's when I kind of migrated to being a Bucks fan, but also still rooting for the Giants. But so I still always kind of had like a little bit of a hate for Brady, and so like I said, with him coming in, I'm not like on that same Brady's here, it's the savior. It's like, we're going to see. You still kind of push my man Jameis out. But, of course, it was the right move. So, it's a little bit of a limbo there. But we'll get into more of that later.
Yeah, you guys figure out the running game, and I don't really see too much of a flaw. You brought back that defensive line that played really good last year. Levante David's still a Pro Bowl level linebacker. You figure out the secondary in the draft and maybe sign, get a running back guy like J.K. Dobbins in the second. Mm-hmm. I feel like the team's set. The receivers are set. The tight end's set. You got 2 of those. That line, you're revamping that. So I mean, you go first round, you get a left tackle, right tackle guy like Jedrick Wills from Alabama. You get a running back in the second, and then just focus the rest of your picks on the secondary. I don't see a scenario that this team is not winning, not having a winning record next year.
Well, just say you had more follow up for what's popping.
Yes,
as far as the Tom Brady.
I do. So Tom, Mr. Brady, he also stated that he knew that he was leaving the Patriots before last season, and he really doesn't care about his legacy. But do you think that he walks into Tampa with something to prove?
What do you think, Sam? Go ahead, Tavaris, take it.
No, I believe he definitely has, something to prove. He got a chip on his shoulder. People saying that he's supposed to be out of there. I feel like he's going to go in there. Well, I know this offseason, I know he's working hard just to prove everyone wrong. He can still do it. He still feels like, he's the best quarterback in the league. So I feel like he's going to go prove it. And you really can't count Tom Brady out. It don't matter what age. You know what I mean? Because one thing about him, he's always taking care of his body. So his diet has always been there. So he can go out and compete. But it's just the will, and I feel like he has that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
As go ahead.
You think he'll take him to the Super Bowl? Mm-hmm.
This year? Negative. Not at all.
Who just
Like Sam said, I don't like him coming out of that division. The Saints gonna take it.
Listen, Drew Brees is not the same quarterback as y'all saw last year. He lost to what? Kirk Cousins? He's not the same quarterback, Drew Brees.
Listen, it's okay. The Saints and the Bucks gonna have a little AARP quarterback shootout, and 40 plus club will be all right. Only thing is one less playoff spot this year. They cut it down to 14 teams instead of 16. So
no, there's more.
One more.
No, there's one more. There's one more.
My bad.
One more this year. Which actually I think is the Dallas Cowboy rule. So I think that's what that was made.
I agree.
They desperately wanted the Cowboys to have a fighting chance to be in the playoffs every year because they're always like on the bubble. So I think this definitely helps the Cowboys and helps the Raiders. Yeah. What do you think about that, Sam? You think Brady has something to prove?
I mean, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, like Brady and Belichick have been tied to the hip for about 20 years. So I think both of them want something. I think Belichick probably has more to prove than Brady. I think like Brady, there's no evidence of him failing. Like there's evidence of Bill Belichick failing in Cleveland before he got this head coaching job. So I think Belichick wants to go out there with a mediocre quarterback and win 12 games. He did it with Matt Castle. They won 11. He wants to do it again and hopefully get farther along. And I think it's going to be probably the most interesting storyline of this year is how if they can meet in the Super Bowl or something like that, or who can get farther in the playoffs. I think those are the questions that I think is going to be one of the more interesting things to see moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. It will be very interesting and intriguing to see, and it's going to be weird too seeing Brady in a different uniform. But at least the Tampa Bay Buccaneers went back to the classic Tampa Bay Buccaneers uniforms rather than that orange monstrosity that they had last year. So, but that's the NFL. But we definitely want to get some insight from Tavaris on because he's been in the NFL and now plays in the XFL. So I know Ish, you definitely have some questions for Tavaris that you want to shoot his way.
Yeah, the first question that I want to ask is something that we're all dealing with, the coronavirus. We know that it canceled the NBA, it also canceled the XFL. So Tavaris, how has that affected you, cancellation of the XFL due to the coronavirus?
Oh no, you breaking up. What did you say? How has the coronavirus affected me?
Yeah, just as an XFL player in the cancellation, how has that affected you? And you can also let us know how it's affected those who are around you.
Well, I mean, it's really devastating to be honest, because there's a lot of guys trying to get another opportunity in the NFL, and then a guy like me, who was really like slept on. Can we curse on here?
Yes.
Okay, they was shitting on me honestly, but the last 3 games, man, I balled out. I did my thing, and I was really just catching my stride. They had created a package for me to where I was on, be on the field a lot more than what I was, and coronavirus came. Like Vince McMahon, he still wanted to play that last game, without any fans, but it was bigger than him, so he had to cancel. He really didn't want to cancel, but he had to. But man, we had to come home immediately. The way we was getting paid, it was like it was incentives. It was like a active roster check. So that means you're playing in the game. It was a check just for being on the team, and if you won, you get a win bonus. So now it's like there's no win bonus no more. There's no active roster check. So our pay has went down, significantly. But right now, man, I'm actually still training I'm training with my trainer in Orange Park. And I just been spending a lot of family time, especially with my daughters, interacting with my children, interacting with my mom, my granny. I've been using this time to do more poetry, to do more writing, for my books that I'm doing. And that's really what I've been focusing on, man. I'm not really tripping about going out places, you know. I ain't tripping off that. I've been doing this time right now. I've been seeking God, you know, a lot more, spending more time with God, you know, just developing and building my faith. You know what I mean? And that's what I feel like a lot of people should be doing, you know, opposed to, you know, being in the world of TikTok videos. Just do something that's conducive to your lifestyle, to your life, or what you want, you know.
Yeah.
So,
That's Jess. That's
yeah,
Jess.
tell her, hey, there's no dish.
Listen, I do TikTok videos, but I still pray Jesus, so that's fine.
Okay, hey, already.
I was laughing. I was like, oh, that's a good sermon. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Just do something.
Right.
Just do something with your life. I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Ish. Go ahead, Ish.
All right. So you've been in the NFL on several teams, as I mentioned earlier in your introduction. You played for the Saints, you played for the Seahawks, the Buccaneers, and a few other teams. What are some of the differences that you can tell us between the NFL and the XFL?
The pay.
The money.
My money.
Nah, but I mean, honestly, like the dudes in the XFL, man, it's really just a lot of mediocre guys in the XFL. I ain't gonna lie, dudes were terrible. But what separates the guy, what separates the guys who are balling is, you know, I really feel like it's the mindset and their work ethic. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing. You know, are you really perfecting your craft? Are you trying to do that? And I know my first few years in the NFL, to be honest, like I got lost in the sauce. You know what I mean? Like I went from going to Clemson, being broke as fuck, to that next year making $30,000 every 2 weeks. You know, and shit, that was really my first time being able to. My mom needed some money, like, yeah, I got it. Feel me? You know, so I was in New Orleans, man. I was on Bourbon Street every weekend, you know, spending that bread. So it wasn't about perfecting my craft. It was just about living a lifestyle. And I ain't really get my mind right until, you know, last year. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if I would have did it differently, if I could have did it differently, like I would have definitely, you know, just perfected my craft, worked on that, getting better.
What type of legacy are you trying to leave behind?
What legacy?
Yeah, what type of legacy are you trying to leave behind?
Well, I just wanna show, you know, a lot of the young people that follow me that, man, you don't have to get drafted. I went undrafted. You have to get drafted. It don't matter what school you go to, D1, AA, D2. I don't give a fuck if it's D3 at FAMU. If you work hard and you have faith, you let that shit manifest, it's gonna happen. It don't matter if anybody else believe it. As long as you believe it, you can do that shit. And, you know, just show them that, hey, you can be at the bottom, bro. You can make it to the top. Hard work.
Are there specific ways that you plan to help?
Help who?
Just whoever, like just from your career, as you know, a lot of African American men aspire to live the life that you've lived, essentially, to make it to whatever professional league here in the U.S. Well, yeah. And you've done that, been there, had your ups and downs. So what you've learned is a lot. Is there anything that you plan to contribute back to the community from your experience?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I give back to the homeless every year in Jacksonville, Florida, downtown. I coach a lot at First Coast High School. And then so just with me, you know, the way the world is now, if anyone follows my social media, like I'm very transparent on social media, you know, because a lot of people like to say, oh, you're famous, but I like to let people know you may feel like I'm famous, but I have a lot of the problems, you know, you do is, you know, I go through a lot of the same things you go through, and I'm not no better than you. So I like to, you know, bridge that gap between, you know, being real and fake and putting on for social media. Like I don't put on for social media, like at all. So I feel like that's why, and I get a lot of people that hit me up, you know, just about what I say, what I post, you know what I mean? Because it's like, ain't nobody posting their failures. You know what I mean? And when the XFL ended, you know, I was just like, because we was just starting to talk about our resumes and shit and what we was gonna do after, and this shit happened. And I was like, yo, like, I know we live in the world where we don't post our face, but I'm right now. I don't really know. I don't really know. You know what I'm saying? I just want to let people know, hey, it's okay to not be okay. You know what I mean? It's okay to not know what's next, but you need to work on that shit. Think about it. You know, so just doing more things like that. And I guess reaching out to, to more kids. Every kid I see, every kid I work out with, they come in the gym and I'm talking to them, hey, don't chase the women. Perfect your craft. That's what I've been doing a lot of that lately. Because a lot of times we like to chase these young men. Hey, they ready and they hot. And I just try to tell them, yo, hey, bro, focus on your craft. So, stuff like that.
That's what's up.
What's up?
Well, I feel like I should throw this back to the men. Are you guys watching the NFL draft right now?
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
I'm go ahead.
Like, I know it starts with April 23rd.
Yes.
So, like, I guess it's the mock stuff right now.
Yeah, everybody's doing the mock draft, and I'm definitely going to hear from Sam as far as what he thinks his top 11 draft picks are going to be. Well, the picks for the top 11 teams in the NFL draft. I did want to ask Tavaris the question. I think Ish, thank you for that. You did an awesome job. Tavaris, I wanted to ask you, what was that like? Like you said, so the XFL was essentially your second chance. You're in the NFL. You say that, there's a maturity issue. You had some growing up to do. And then how do you get that call? Do you go to is there a massive tryout? Because no one sent me an email. And so I'm trying to figure out, so how do you get that opportunity? And why wasn't I on the email chain?
With the XFL?
Yeah, with the XFL. I'm trying to figure that out. Yeah. How does that work?
Well, I ain't gonna lie. Well, they actually called my agent, I think in September. They called my agent, and I was at that time I was just indifferent about it. I'm like, man, fuck that. I'm going back to the NFL. And then I just started thinking, I'm like, yo, like, this can be my way back in. I started being more rational, actually thinking about it, and I was like, okay, let's get it. And so they had a draft, they had an XFL draft, and I got selected to DC.
What day was that? What day was that draft?
The draft, I think, honestly, I don't really remember. I think it was October. I believe. I have the picture. I can send it to you.
I was at our live show, and that's probably why my phone didn't ring. That's what it was. We had a
but you look like you can play.
Listen, see, don't do that, because they never gonna hear the end of that. Look,
West Orange glory days.
Listen, man, when I'm
out, you played before?
Football, yes, yeah, man, I played. I played football, yeah, I did. Offensive and defensive line. I still play football in my dating life. So yes, depending on my or my Bumble app, I am still. I'm still.
Inappropriate.
I'm not fucking with you, bro. I ain't fucking with you.
I'm still a middle linebacker, just that hasn't got his stuff together yet. So I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know. But I didn't get that call. But I'm glad to know that it was because I was at the live show doing the Soapboxx and I was distracted.
Yeah, that's
probably why
that's the only reason.
That's it.
That's the only reason.
Got you. Hey, Sam, did you have something?
We do not condone what you just said.
What are you talking about? I was a football player, and if it's Pro Bowl weekend, and I have the size where they think possibly he could be somebody. Look, you gotta work with your guy. You gotta work with you. I'm trying to find love.
I was thinking about your comment about in your dating life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're like, "What team do you play for?" I'm like, "Who's your favorite team?" And they're like, "Such and such," and whoever that team. I picked the team that's across the way. It's like, "Oh, I play for Arizona." Arizona. I was injured this year. It's always I was injured.
You were in the practice squad. Practice squad.
Yeah. I was a practice squad. I'm like, yeah, I know Brady. Sam, did you have something to add?
Nah, I was just gonna say you gotta call Tavaris' agent and get hooked up because apparently your agent ain't doing the job.
Listen, for real. You know, this Soapboxx gig doesn't pay enough or at all, anything. So I do want to ask, how tall? What are your measurables? Because I mean, you're in the XFL. You ever think about? I don't know. You seem like when I saw a highlight of you. You seem like a pretty tall dude, and you're athletic. You ever think about joining the WWE?
Nah, but I thought about doing MMA.
See, there you go. All right. You ever?
Yeah, I definitely thought about it. I'm 6'5". I'm 6'5" and 260.
You're tall.
Yeah, we almost the same height, brother. I'm 5'11". We almost right there.
You 5'11" for real?
For me? Yes, 5'11". I'm 6 feet 5'11". You know, depending on how hot it is outside.
Yeah. Hey, I ain't gonna hold you, man. I ain't gonna hold you. That's probably why you didn't get that call, brother.
See, no, listen. I was a pulling guard and I was top 5. Look, don't let me Al Bundy this conversation. Talk about how many touchdowns I got at Polk High School.
No, you got it. You got it.
No, man. Yeah. I did football and weightlifting in high school. You know, just to give out. I'll send you my highlight tape. I'll send it to you. Don't worry about it. I'll send it to you. Just make sure you just pass it around.
Yes, sir.
Do you get that a lot? Like a lot of people, like from athletes, because you tell them you're in the XFL. They try to get you their mixtape of their high school.
Bro, man, the past few months, just random ass dudes just been inboxing me. Yo, bro, you think you can help me get an XFL? Sending me the highlight tape. I'm like, shit. So I did that with one dude, but it's like if you're not on the scouts radar, you know what I mean? They not really with it. You know what I mean? Like it don't matter your highlights. They don't give a fuck about that shit. If you're not on their radar, bro, it's 9 times out of 10 it's a dub.
So do you guys have like special parties you guys go to with special invites?
Just trying to get invited to the party.
Look at Jess. Jess trying to. Sam, I apologize.
Trying to find her.
Sam, I thought this was
turned into an episode of the game or something.
Sam, I apologize. We thought this was going to be a professional sports podcast, and here we are.
I'm chilling.
Look at you. She's like,
as long as I don't get an invite to this party, I'm fine. I got my lovely girlfriend. She's going to watch this later. I'm okay. I'll stay home. I got my What Would Jesus Do bracelet. I'm a faithful man. I'm going to chill over.
Now, we ain't inviting Sam.
Yo, listen. The way she said that, I was like,
she really about to find her husband.
Ain't that? And she said, you see her face, and she said 6'5". She go, okay.
You're tall.
Don't do that, TJ. Don't do that. Next topic.
Listen, all right. So speaking of, to bring some levity to the situation, to the podcast, Javonni, who is exuding class and decorum right now, other than you, the rest of you folks on this damn podcast. Javonni, what's going on with Antonio Brown, the Baltimore Ravens, and Lamar Jackson?
Okay, so first of all, you need to stop muting my microphone because that's part of the reason why I've been quiet over here.
You can unmute it.
You have the microphone muted because you probably think my son's gonna make a lot of noise, but I have babysitters.
No, that's not. See how they come for me? That's not. I did not do that.
Okay, talk about decorum.
You judged me.
That's why. Oh, she got a babysitter, and that's why she looking like that today. With the she like, look, mama going out. She like, look, quarantine and chilling somewhere else after this damn podcast. That's why she. Okay, she like, I ain't putting on no damn jersey.
No jersey for me right now. Trying to look good, but.
Go ahead.
But
earrings are fire though. Earrings are fire. I'm dope.
Oh, thank you. Yes, these were supposed to be my Costa Rica trip earrings, but of course that got canceled.
Hey, you notice I said the earrings was cute too, and she was like, "Yeah, all right, nigga, whatever." Let me go to the next.
Oh my
All right. I'm sorry. No, There's a theme on this podcast today that I'm sensing. But go ahead. Go ahead.
You hating? Are you hating?
I'm gonna drink my water.
Yeah, drink that.
Go ahead.
So basically, for me, it's bottom line. It's just, will any team take Antonio Brown, or is he just a risk right now for, all teams, their name, their brand? Antonio Brown, arguably our generation, and, I feel like he's considered one of the best wide receivers. Mm-hmm. And like I said, arguably the best wide receiver. Free agent, raised in Liberty City. Shout out to Florida, of course, and shout out to Miami. Attended Miami, Norland. What college did he go to? Michigan?
Western Michigan.
I can't remember. But anyways.
Western or Central, one of the two.
I don't know how. Yeah, one of those two, right. But, of course, he's trying to pursue his NFL career again this season. So it's just, with everything going on, the charges, sexual assault, battery, him being let go from Steelers, which I love the Steelers. My dad is a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Then the Raiders, and who am I missing? Oh, the Patriots, of course. He became a rapper, and so at this point, it's just like, his talent. He's so talented, but he comes with so much baggage. And I think a lot of coaches and even NFL players are just questioning, like, is he worth having on the team, or to elevate the team, or is he more of a risk? So, Sam, Tavaris,
what do you think? Sam, what do you think? Because Sam, he was definitely seen with Lamar Jackson, and I know you're a Baltimore Ravens fan. That either made you really nervous or really excited.
Oh,
yeah.
So there's a couple ways to look at it. Like the picture at first, he took a picture with his Lamar Hollywood Brown, who's Antonio's cousin, who plays for the Ravens with Lamar. Lamar is from Broward. I think he went to Boynton Beach High School down there and the West Palm area. So there's a connection there with all three of them being from Miami, South Florida area, and Marquise Hollywood Brown being Antonio's cousin. So personally, as a Ravens fan, I'm still not over Antonio Brown kicking us out of the playoffs in 2016 with that touchdown where he reached around. So I'm still a little mad at him about that. He's still one of the best receivers in the league. Like guys like Mike Thomas, Julio Jones, him, to me, Odell's still in that conversation, even though he had a down year last year. And I can't forget about Nuke. I'm sorry. I cannot forget about Nuke Hopkins. I love that man. He's still talented, but I don't want him. I don't want him in Baltimore. And when I first saw that picture, first of all, my first thought was like, heck, social distance, bro. So you all hugging. I need you 6 feet apart from Lamar Jackson. He is a prized person in the city of Baltimore for the Ravens team. So protect Lamar at all costs. But as far as Antonio, I think he checked all the teams that would have given him a chance. Like the Raiders, to me, was the first one that came to mind. Then the Patriots, and if his hometown Miami Dolphins don't want anything to do with him, I don't think he's going to go anywhere. Personally, he made the biggest mistake of his career leaving Pittsburgh, because it feels now that like all this stuff went down while he was at Pittsburgh, and it stayed under wraps because Mike Tomlin had that place on lock. So I don't see a way for him getting in the NFL next season. I think it's a better chance for him and Tavaris to link up in the XFL again, or not again, but next season. I don't see him in the league next year.
Well, I guess what I'm thinking is, in general, and you all can name them. I won't name them, but I feel like the NFL over time, we've seen people in worse situations or do equally the same amount of bad things.
Yeah, Mike Vick was in jail. He was legitimately in jail. So, and he got another shot with the Eagles.
Hunt.
Yeah, Kareem too.
Yeah. But I mean, okay, go ahead, Tavaris.
To be honest with you, somebody asked me this the other day. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he is back in the league, just because them people They don't give a fuck. As long as you can,
That's how I
as long
feel.
as you can put money in their pocket, they gonna find a way. You know what I'm saying, to cover something up or to make a deal with something. Like I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. But he is a
That's
lot.
how I feel because I feel like he plays around. At this point, everybody knows Antonio Brown has, from when he first started, I feel like he was more humble to now it's just like, I'm gonna talk the noise, do whatever I want. I'm gonna bring my rapper friends to meetings. Right, he got paid.
He
so
act like me on pay.
Act
like you ever been broke? I act like Antonio Brown on payday. Every payday. And then I'm broke, and then I'm humble again.
Yeah, but no. It's a different when you're getting paid because you actually show that everything you signed a contract to do, you actually did it. You proved that, and you succeeded that. That's a different type of paycheck. That's for real deal your talent. Paycheck that we get every working day citizens, that's just because we're going to work and we're using the 8 hours that to provide for us. Great. You didn't start a fire at work. Good. That's the lack of humility I have. Talent. His talent is the reason why he's getting paid. The boy is talented.
Yeah. And I heard it was an interview a while back when he was first having issues with the Steelers. He was pretty candid. He said, "Listen, at this point, I'm not really holding back. I'm set for life. So the thing that they previously had over me, which was money, they don't have that anymore. So he's pretty much admitted that him getting paid kind of freed himself up to kind of express himself a little bit more. I think a couple of things are going to play into a factor here, which I do believe he's going to be back in the league. One, I think this whole break and the fact that he's buried so low in the 24 news hour cycle right now, which he would be at, one of the top things that people will talk about, especially going into free agency and things of that nature. He's at the bottom. So between all of this time lapsing is going to help. One. Two, the NFL as a brand, their tribalism is so strong into that their fans are so loyal to the brand of the team, as opposed to where NBA fans are more susceptible to kind of just leave with the player. So that being said, I think it's less of a hit for a team to take a chance on him, because it's not going to be like, that team is doing that, I'm not rocking with that team no more. We don't really see that a lot. A lot of the fans are going to thug it out no matter who they bring to the fold. So I think that he is going to get a shot next year. With who, I couldn't really say. I don't know if it's going to be the Ravens, but I definitely think it's going to happen. I think, and it was just bad timing. I think the Patriots was an ideal situation for him. But, the whole thing with the domestic issue came at a really, really bad time. So we'll see.
Well, wow. I'll definitely take him with the Jets. I'm excited.
Wait, so everybody needs to answer the question.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying everyone should just answer the question. Will a team take this chance and sign a contract with Antonio Brown? Let's just go around. I say yes and a half.
I think yes. I say yes.
Yeah, for me, I think it just depends on like the team, the coach, and their ethics. If they don't care, and they are not trying to uphold a certain set of ethics or standards, then yes. And if they do care and they're trying to like make examples and say, we're not about this, like you're talented, but there's still like right and wrong. And you need to understand like your talent does not supersede like ethics and being righteous, so to say. If it's a coach or a team that has those types of values, they'll say no, which apparently is not many teams like in the NFL.
Greg Hardy is a defensive end. He's a former defensive end. He allegedly beat up his girlfriend and threw his girlfriend on a stack of guns in his house. So I think Antonio Brown, and he got signed after that to play with the Dallas Cowboys. So I think Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy. He's a former defensive end of the Dallas Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers.
I remember.
So he did some wild. If you look at if you read his affidavit, he did some wild stuff, and he still got a shot in the NFL. So I think Antonio Brown is too talented. But I will say this: the clock is ticking because he is an older wide receiver, and so his prime years he's wasting with all his antics. I did want to ask Tavaris real quick.
He's like 30. That's
ancient as a wide receiver. Like he's only got like 3 years left. Yeah.
How old is he?
Yeah, he'll be 32 in July.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's ancient for a wide receiver. He's probably got about 2 or 3 good years left, if that. Tavaris, well, let me ask you this: if you've been in NFL locker rooms and XFL locker rooms, have you ever encountered a player that has been just over the top and just a distraction and stuff? How do you handle that type of situation in the locker room? How would you handle Antonio Brown in this situation? What would you say to him?
What would I say to him? Dudes like that, you can't really say nothing to because there's a lot of dudes like that. They got that bag already. You can't say shit to them. Honestly, man, I just stay the fuck away from them. Honestly, like I wouldn't really say shit to them. Because dudes like that, they already have, they got their money, so they feel like they're better than everyone. They feel like, they're better than the law. They're above the law. So that it's just dudes who really walk around like that. You know what I mean? Like money is everything. And it's like Antonio Brown, he was having his outbursts. I'm like, man, this dude going through some shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Motherfucker ain't got no peace. You know what I mean? Because that's one thing money can't buy. You can't buy peace or happiness. And you seen this man start to act out, so the nigga wasn't happy. He's going through something internally. You know what I mean? That's some off the field shit. And dudes just act out.
Yeah. Well, in April 23rd, thank you, Javonni, for that. And on April 23rd, there's going to be the NFL draft. This is actually going to be the first virtual NFL draft. And so we have Sam Albuquerque here. Sam, you're going to give us you're going to go down the draft order, the top 11, and see who these teams should pick and give a brief as to why why they should pick these teams. Before we start, I do have an announcement. Because of the conversation and what we were talking about, before you do your mock draft, Sam, I am going to enter this year's NFL draft. I'm announcing it right now.
Okay.
So no pressure when you're doing your top 11. Just let you know that I am on the board and I am available.
I'm just saying the Jets need some interior line help at 11. We could if I'm the GM of the Jets, I'm considering Joe Douglas could do it. I don't see why not.
I could play center, I can play guard, I play D tackle, and I've been running back and forth.
Ever since your boy Nick Mangold retired, that center position has been a little suspect for the Jets. So let's see what we can do.
I've been doing shuttle runs back and forth to the kitchen, so I'm thinking a little outside linebacker too. So
okay. Just make sure to put like a sandwich on each side.
I don't want Tavaris. Don't get jealous, but I might be an edge rusher. So just Sam, go ahead, no pressure, because you're on my platform. Let's just go ahead and start with the Cincinnati Bengals, who have the first overall pick. Who do you think Cincinnati Bengals are taking with the first overall?
So I'm going to go with who I think they're going to take, not who they should take. The answer here is Joe Burrow, quarterback, LSU. He had one of the best seasons of all time as a quarterback, and the Bengals are clearly trying to move on from Andy Dalton. Unless they trade back for a bunch of pieces, they're going to stick here and take the best quarterback in their opinion. Personally, I think Tua is the best quarterback, but I think they're going to take Joe Burrow here, the Ohio kid. Obviously played at Ohio State for a little bit before transferring to LSU. He's got like really good pocket mobility. Like he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not running and just beating dudes with his legs, but inside the pocket, like he's got a presence to him where like he knows where rushers are coming from. He knows where Tavaris is coming off the edge. He knows to take like that slight step back to create a little bit more space for him. And
what I'm bad, boy.
He is. He doesn't have amazing arm talent. He's not over here. He's not Dan Marino. He's got a chip on his shoulder too. Hell of a chip, hella confidence. You like his attitude. I think he should be one of the top 2 quarterbacks taken in this draft. I just think Tua is a little bit more special, but I think Joe goes number 1 here to Cincinnati.
All right, number 2, Washington Redskins.
All right, so for Washington here, I think they take Tua. I think Tua's the pick here. I think Dwayne's gonna get the Josh Rosen treatment. You got a new regime coming in with Ron Rivera. Tua to me is a generational talent. Trent Dilfer came out today, I think, and said that he throws the ball better than Dan Marino and Aaron Rodgers. So I trust Trent Dilfer a lot. from my point of view, man, that guy is amazing. And a lot of people point to his receiving core, like Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith. Those guys were still there when Jalen Hurts was there. And Jalen Hurts is going to be a top 3-round pick. And he wasn't able to do the stuff that Tua was. So you can't use his receiving core, his offensive line against him, because we saw that same team with a different quarterback who's going to be NFL ready. And the things that Tua did, special, man. His vision, the way he looks off safeties is just incredible. He does this little thing with his shoulder that, like, I've watched him. He just does a slight hitch and he just manipulates the safety better than any college quarterback I've ever seen. It's insane. He should be the number one quarterback taken, but Cincinnati won't do that. I think Washington will, and this is a prime spot to trade up. So I'm going to go Tua here.
Okay, so you have Tua and Joe Burrow off the board. Detroit Lions at number 3.
If Detroit is here, they're taking Chase Young. I think Detroit tries to trade back because to either get to 5 or 6, because I think the Chargers are going to try to trade up. I think the Dolphins are going to try to trade up. If the Lions are here, they're taking Chase Young. Tavaris can talk about Chase Young a lot more than I can. That dude looks like freaking Predator from Alien and Predator. Like he's that big. He's got the dreads. He's quick. He's not, from my opinion, from what I've watched, he's not Joey Bosa or Nick Bosa as far as hand talent, like getting off the – like he's just more athletic than both those guys, so he kind of doesn't need it right now. But Ohio State just produces edge rushers like nobody's business, so I'm gonna go Chase Young here.
Yeah, as a Michigan fan, I hope he falls in the draft. But number four, the New York Football Giants, the Alan York, his football Giants. Who they taking?
So you got two players here. I'm not as familiar with the Giants just because I don't really pay attention to them other than Saquon on my fantasy team. Yeah. No offense, Alan. they haven't been. And I don't really trust Dave Gettleman. So you could say you take Isaiah Simmons from Clemson, probably one of Tavaris's boys, one of the most versatile players in the draft. Or you could take Jeff Okudah, the cornerback. But I don't know, like, Dave Gettleman might end up taking, like, an offensive guard here. I don't know what Gettleman does.
We don't trust Gettleman either. It's cool.
No one should. No one should.
Yeah, they're talking about us taking a guard, but we'll see. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm making this pick and the tackle, yeah, I mean, there's a couple tackles, guys like Mekhi Becton from Louisville, Tristan Wirfs from Iowa make a lot of sense. Guy like Jedrick Wills from Alabama. But I think they take the best player available here, and I think it's Jeff Okudah. Even though personally Isaiah Simmons to me would be the pick, but I think they go Okudah just because he's more – you don't really have to figure him out. Isaiah just does so many things you don't really know where to put him. He's like he's an outside linebacker. He can rush a little bit. He's a safety, play a little slot corner. But I think they go Jeff Okudah because they just like play on the left side, stay over there. We don't have to worry about you for 5 years. So okay. I think Jeff Okudah is the pick for you guys.
All right, number 5, Miami Dolphins. You have Tua and Joe Burrow off the board. Who are they taking?
I think the Dolphins take Justin Herbert, Oregon quarterback. He's got all the tools. He went through the process. He even got his pro day in, which is ridiculous considering how this thing is all gone. He's got the best arm in the draft, I think, other than a guy like Jacob Eason, who's farther down on this. You can talk about Jordan Love too, but I think Justin Herbert is the safe pick for Miami, and I think they're ready to start building this team and actually use these draft picks to put players on the field. I like Herbert. He feels like a Mariota type. Obviously, like they both went to Oregon. I think he has better physical tools than Mariota, but he's a safe pick and he won't ruin the Dolphins, I don't think.
All right, number 6, the Los Angeles Chargers.
See, this is the toughest one, I think. They just traded Russell Okung to Carolina, so they need a left tackle. They got Trey Turner back. He's a guard. He's not a tackle. So with all 3 quarterbacks that I think they would have considered drafting and not doing trades in this mock draft, I think they take the best offensive tackle off the board, whether that's Tristan Wirfs from Iowa or Mekhi Becton. I think it's Mekhi Becton from Louisville. I'm not a huge offensive line guru, so I don't really know which one's the best one, but I think whichever one they think is the best, Mekhi Becton has been the one that's been mocked the highest in most drafts that I've seen. So Mekhi Becton from Louisville to Los Angeles.
All right, number 7, Carolina Panthers, the Cam Newton-less Carolina Panthers, the new look Carolina Panthers with no Luke Kuechly, no Cam Newton, and who else is gone? Who that they released? They released a lot of their core players that we've come to know over the years.
Yeah, James Bradbury went up to the Giants that played corner for them. They got rid of Joe, or they didn't re-sign Gerald McCoy after getting him on a 1-year deal from Tampa. I forgot who the other defensive line. They lost another defensive lineman. I can't remember who it was though. But I think they take Isaiah Simmons. I think he's the best player on the board. They kind of, that defense is all over the place. They don't have stalwarts like they did in the past. So Isaiah Simmons is that movable chess piece that's going to be just rock solid for me. And I think he might end up being, honestly, one of the best players in this draft. Like, he's just that talented. I wish Tavaris was here because he can talk to us more about Isaiah.
No, I'm here.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Cool. Like, I don't know how much you're staying in touch with the program, but like, what do you think about Isaiah? Like, to me, he's one of the, like, easily the most unique player in this draft, and could end up being one of the best defensive players in this draft.
Yeah, he's our first Buckets Award winner at Clemson. Yeah, I'm very much so still intact with the program. Me and Coach Sweeney. Yeah, I think we talked last month. We talk all the time though. Yeah, he's a versatile player. I mean, he can play pretty much anywhere. I feel like he gonna he could be defensive player rookie of the year.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that.
Not far to say at all. I guess a team would just have to figure out where they want to play him at, but he can, wherever you put him at, I mean, he's gonna wreak havoc.
Yeah, and that's sort of my thought process of putting him at 7, which I think is falling a bit for a guy like him. He should be a top 5 pick, but him falling down to Carolina, I think the thought process with that is they're gonna put him everywhere. They don't have dudes like Luke Kuechly and guys like studs like that anymore on that defense. So he's gonna be that movable chess piece. So wherever you got a hole, he's gonna be the one plugging it in.
All right.
Yeah, I wouldn't that move. No, go ahead.
Yeah, Arizona, number 8. Arizona with DeAndre Hopkins, and they basically robbed the Houston Texans, really they just got it at a garage sale. They just put DeAndre Hopkins up. They got him for nothing. So it's gonna
as
be,
much as Allen wants to hate on. Go ahead. Sorry, I missed that.
No, I was just saying that I don't know what the Houston Texans are doing, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, as much as Allen and the rest of the Giants nations hate Gettleman, I think the Texans fans probably hate Bill O'Brien more as their general manager. The guy just traded for Brandon Cooks now. Like, I don't know what they're doing. Like, you didn't want to pay DeAndre Hopkins, but you're going to pay Brandon Cooks, who's significantly worse. Yeah, They traded for him today. They gave him a second-round pick and got Brandon Cooks. Yep. They don't have draft picks. I don't know what they're doing.
Why not Odell Beckham? Why would they do that for undersized receiver?
Why wouldn't you pay Nuke?
That's the question I want answered. Like, why don't you pay Nuke Hopkins? He's been one of the most consistent receivers. He's not overly athletic, so if he gets older, it's not like he's going to get slower and be worse. Like, he's proved that he can make catches and consistent traffic throughout his entire career with terrible quarterbacks. He finally got a good one, and you trade him away to Arizona.
It's a personal issue. That's a personal issue, and it's not. I hate that when it gets personal. It's not about business. So, who we got on here on the draft order? We have the Jacksonville Jaguars. I would like to go see a Jaguars game eventually.
Yeah. But I don't think we did Arizona. We never picked one for Arizona, right?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Who's Arizona?
Yeah. I think this is similar as the Chargers. They plugged in that hole at receiver with Nuke. Obviously, like, I think Jerry Jeudy would have been perfect here for them if they didn't get Nuke. So I think they're set at receiver. Chandler Jones is still one of the best defensive ends in the league. There isn't really anybody there unless they want to go D tackle and get Derek Brown from Auburn, who I really like. I think they go offensive line because they've proven they're going to build around Kyler Murray. They brought in Nuke. I think they go O-line here. I think it's either going to be a guy like Jedrick Wills or Tristan Wirfs. Again, I'm not a huge O-line guy, so I can't break down that play. But I think Tristan Wirfs has more of an upside than Jedrick Wills because he's more of a right tackle, not as athletic. Tristan obviously killed it at the combine. I think he ran a 5.6 at like 300 pounds, which was insane. So I'm gonna go Tristan Wirfs from Iowa here at 8 for Arizona.
All right, number 9, Jacksonville Jaguars.
This one feels easy. Calais Campbell out of there, going to Baltimore with my Ravens, which I loved, by the way, for a 5th rounder. It was the best thing we ever got. I think what's up?
I'm a diehard Jaguar fan. It was fucking stupid.
Yeah, man, I completely agree with you. Calais Campbell still got 2-3 years left with him. I love that y'all traded him for a fifth rounder. We got Marcus Peter for a fifth rounder last year from LA. Now we got Calais Campbell from fifth rounder this year. So I mean, we're just gonna keep trading fifth round picks for all pro players. But I think 9 here you go Derek Brown. You have a clear need at defensive tackle. Taven Bryan hasn't been as good as you wanted him to from Florida a couple years ago in the first round. So I think you take Derek Brown and take another stab at plugging in that middle.
And we have number 10, a make or break year for Baker Mayfield. Who do they take at number 10?
Yeah, I think it's offensive line. Clearly, they showed up the right tackle with Jack Conklin signing in from Tennessee. They're going to take a left tackle at this point with Makai and Tristan Wirfs off the board. I think they're gonna take buddy from Alabama, Jedrick Wills, who's more of a right tackle, but he played right tackle into his lefty, so that's his blind side. So he's used to covering the blind side. I'm gonna go Jedrick Wills here for the Browns.
All right, and number 11 in the top 11, my New York football, New York Jets. Sam Darnold's there. They need some offensive line help. You know, someone who is quick, pulling guard,
pulling offensive guard,
tackle, and they also need a playmaker. So you're looking for a playmaker, offensive lineman type. Who you got at number 11 for the New York Jets?
So there's a couple people we consider here. You look at the way this draft is went. The 3 best offensive linemen are off the board. I think they go playmaker here because they lost Robbie Anderson to Carolina. Their best receiver is a guy who I can't pronounce his name, Quincy Enunwa, I think. So they need help with playmaking. That's it. Yep. There you go. And Buddy and the way this draft ran out, the best offensive playmaker in this draft is a boy by the name of Jerry Jeudy, and he will reinvigorate Sam Darnold's career, especially if you guys can get rid of your coach Adam Gase. I think Sam Darnold and Jerry Jeudy are going to be throwing and catching touchdown passes for a lot of years. You're right about the offensive line, but I think the 3 best offensive tackles are gone. You can get interior linemen like TJ Legacy, this kid out of Central Florida. I can't remember where he went to school. I think you can get him in the second round. Get him in the second round. You address the clear need at wide receiver here. Take the best player available. Probably can literally win Offensive Rookie of the Year next year. Is going to be set for the next 10 years. Good character dude. You never hear anything about him coming out of Alabama. You go Jerry Jeudy here. You take the receiver and you help your quarterback out.
Yeah. If you, in all seriousness, if you pick TJ Legacy in the top 11, Sam Darnold is going to retire immediately because his ass will get sacked.
Yeah.
This back and these.
He's gonna pull an Andrew Luck.
They ain't what they used to be. But yeah, man, thank you for that. Any notable picks? What about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 14? I know Alan's excited about that. And what about your Baltimore Ravens and maybe the Super Bowl champs? What are their needs?
Yeah, so for Baltimore, we need linebacking help. We've been needing linebacking help ever since y'all stole C.J. Mosley for us for an obscene amount of money.
Who didn't play?
So if hey man, when he played for us, he was phenomenal.
He didn't play. He played one half. It was like, all right, I'm good. He got hurt, and so hopefully he comes back.
Yeah, no, CJ's awesome. Like CJ's one of the best inside linebackers in this league. He's an all-pro level talent. So you guys are lucky to have him. Obviously, you overpaid him, but it is what it is. But I think a guy like Patrick Queen from LSU.
Goddamn Jets.
Goddamn Jets. I think a guy like Patrick Queen from LSU would be great. Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma. Those are the 2 top linebacking players in this draft. If they fall to us, that's fine. There's not really any interior linemen that are guys like Quentin Nelson who deserve to go in the first round. So I don't see a clear replacement for Marshall Yanda other than that, like edge rusher, maybe Kalavion Chasen from LSU if he's there. I don't think he will be, but if he's there, I would love to have him. So those are the 3 guys for Baltimore. As far as the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they go running back, either DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins. I think you give Mahomes another weapon. It sort of just solidifies the fact that this team's going to be a Super Bowl contender for the rest of his career. Who's the other one you asked?
I asked for the Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl champs. What do you think they need?
Yeah, Kansas City for the running back. I think J.K. or DeAndre Swift. I thought you named another one. Was it? I think it was Tampa.
Yeah, Tampa. I think you know what I will say this. I think I do like Swift from out of Georgia. However, I think people are sleeping on Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor's awesome. The thing is, it's Wisconsin running backs. You have to take it with a caveat. They have Wisconsin consistently puts out NFL offensive linemen throughout the entire draft, and the defensive lines in the Big Ten, other than Ohio State, aren't like you get these edge rushers coming out of the Big Ten, but you don't hear a lot of defensive tackles coming out of the Big Ten. Like most of the running backs in the SEC have that sort of that tape against guys like Eric Brown, guys like Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina, who are really like run stuffing guys in the middle. So I Jonathan Taylor's really good, but you have to take his tape with a caveat that he's playing in the Big Ten, who doesn't necessarily have the best defensive stopping tackles. But I like Jonathan Taylor. If he can shore up his pass catching, he's gonna be good. But I think I would take DeAndre Swift as my first running back off the board.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. That was awesome, Sam. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Yo, Alan, what's going on in the world of the NBA? We have an NBA season, or here they're doing something special?
Man, listen, the NBA players are probably more restless than any other major sports because they were actually in the middle of the season. The baseball season was just about to start going. The football season, NBA, they was right in the middle. So they're really just been twiddling their thumbs. And this is what they have come up with. On the 12th of April, there will actually be a horse game. There's going to be 8 participants, a little bit of mixture of who's in the league now, who retired, and a couple of WNBA players. The horse tournament will be satellite, of course, and different gyms. So everyone will be filming in from their respective locations. Real good social distancing. The first one will be April 12th, and the second, which will be the quarterfinals and semifinals and the championship, will be Thursday on the 16th. So the biggest names that are in this is Zach LaVine, Chris Paul, Trae Young, but they also have Paul Pierce here, Mike Conley Jr., Chauncey Billups, and on the women's side, they have Allie Quigley and Tamika Catchings. Now, there is a no dunking rule. So Zach LaVine is not just going to be able to go in between the legs and just kind of go windmill it to victory. Now, they did do a horse competition in, I believe it was 2010, an All-Star game in 2011. The only issue that I found the main issue that I thought was the entertainment level, because you had people like Kevin Durant who would just go to the three-point line and just shoot you to death because he knows that you're probably going to miss before him. So are we going to watch it? Yes. Do we hope for something a little bit more original, something with a little bit more pizzazz? Yes. But what do y'all think about it? A horse tournament, no dunking, because like I said, it's players from the new school, players from the old school, and WNBA players. So you got to have a little bit of even playing field. But I'll be home. I'm not doing nothing. I'm going to watch it. What y'all think?
Listen, and for those who are listening on the podcast, horse is a game where you just basically, how do I explain horse? You shoot the ball, and if you miss, someone gets an H, and you spell out the word horse. And basically, it's like a monkey see, monkey do type of thing, where you're trying to gain. They're trying to do what you can do, and if you can't do it, you spell horse, and once you spell horse, then you're out. Sam, what do you think? Are you for this NBA game or this horse game or not? Horse
TJ, I'm about to watch South Korean baseball. I want anything I can get. Like the South Korean baseball league's about to start up, and I'm thinking about getting a team. I'm trying to figure out who the best players are. I hate baseball, and I'm about to watch South Korean baseball. I was really excited for the CBA to start up, the Chinese basketball league. So I'm taking anything I got. It's Zach LaVine, sure, he can't dunk. I'll still watch. I'll watch him anything at this point. What Alan said, I'm home.
Listen, I think it's an awful, like I said, you guys have said, your sentiments exactly. I think it's an awful idea. I think it's stupid, but we have reached a level of boredom where, I'm watching all sorts of crazy videos. So,
awful
shit.
idea.
Shit. I think it's off. I think it's bad. Like, why do I want to see? Like, they're not even in the same gym.
No, they're doing something different. I think it's pretty cool and creative, and I'm glad they're doing something other than playing a freaking game 5-on-5.
I want LeBron. I want LeBron to get his ring. We are cheating LeBron James. Let's get them back playing in an empty gym so LeBron can go ahead and win that championship. Stop doing this to LeBron.
Oh, is this a deeper, darker criminal link because LeBron stood up to China earlier in the year and they just knew that he was about to win the chip, so they sent something over here? You see it?
No, for real. That's my tinfoil hat that I'm wearing. That this is a conspiracy. LeBron is in his 17th damn season. Like, come on. We don't want to play no horse. Like at least if they're gonna do something, at least do a 5-on-5 or a 3-on-3 tournament or 2-on-2 or do a 1-on-1. That would have been interesting.
Did you do that if we are social distancing?
Listen,
no.
You can spray someone down with Lysol and make sure that they're good as long as you don't have Rudy Gobert or those other folks in there. I think you should be good. Look, WWE just had WrestleMania in an empty facility, and I watched all 6 hours of that. All 6.
Hey, and the NBA is getting more tests than anybody, so it's not like they can't test their players before they do it, right?
Listen,
That's true.
I want to see Anthony Davis. I want to see LeBron James and put Shaq in there and have everybody do a Legends team for every team in the NBA if you're going to do something like that. But this horse, where it's one person in the gym just shooting around, that gives me anxiety. That's making me feel like I'm back in high school and ain't nobody need to be on the court. You know what I'm saying? So no, there's plenty more that they can actually do.
I do think it's like I've been watching, and we haven't really covered this too much yet, but I'm not sure if you guys have been watching any of the producer beat battles. I've been entertained by them. A producer plays a record that they produce, and the other producer plays a record that they produce, and they kind of clash. So I feel like this will kind of give me similar sort of vibes to it. The commentary will probably make it worth it. So I'm gonna tune in, man. But since I have Sam here, and I know you work with 580, I gotta ask real quick, my boys, man. I feel like we are teetering in this between 6 and 8, just kind of floating bubble of should we completely break this up or should we continue to inch towards the playoffs with my Magic here? Of course, it's gonna be a big decision what we do with Evan and what we do with Vooch in the off season. But what do you think we should do? Should we try to go for the home run and try to get a superstar in the off season, which would be ideal but extremely difficult with the pieces that we have where we don't have? Or should we go back, take a step backwards, maybe trade away Aaron Gordon for some pieces and start rebuilding again? Because I tell people all the time, we started rebuilding in 2011. These other teams have started rebuilding after us, and they passed us 2 or 3 times. So tell me about that. What do you
the Magic, personally, I think you have your pieces to build around. I think Fultz and Jonathan Isaac are what's gonna be the focal point of this team moving forward. If J.I. can stay healthy, this team is significantly better. He hasn't been able to, so that's scary to put all your eggs in that basket. But if is the way that this front office is consistently talked about how they plan on building is they're always going to try to be okay, to be good, to be very good, to always just be in the position to get to the point where they can win a title. They want to build slowly. So no matter what I think they should do, what they're going to do is they're going to keep re-signing their better players to deals that are structured in a way that they're front loaded and tradable at the back end, sort of like Aaron Gordon's and how Vooch's deal's been this past year. But they're gonna keep doing that, man. They're probably gonna re-sign Fournier 4 years, something $80 million, I think.
Why?
25, 20, something like that, so that you could trade him. I don't think they should, but I think they'll probably going to. Like, personally, like, I think it's Fultz, it's J.I. You got to build around that. You get rid of Aaron Gordon, who's got a tradable contract, and because he plays the same position as Jonathan Isaac does, and you get guys like James Ennis and Al-Farouq Aminu who can back up Jonathan Isaac. But yeah, I think this year's not the year to draft, or this year's not the year to tank, because you don't really have anybody in the draft that I think is a transcendent player. But it's a tough sled, because I think it's going to be mediocre for the next couple of years for the Magic. So I would personally,
I think we wrapping up.
I would personally rebuild, but we'll see if they do.
Yeah, I mean, well, at this point, it's too late for us to kind of tank anyway. I think anyone who would sort of be transcended is going to be probably in that top 3. So, of course, we're a little bit late on that. But, it makes sense, I guess, on paper to have someone like Evan around because of the fact that you have someone like Fultz who's not essentially that type of a shooter as of yet. So he kind of complements it, but with the money that he's going to request, and he's just super inconsistent. I feel like we've been there, done that before. But I mean, like you said, what can we do? Our hands are a little bit tied behind our back.
I will say this one thing about Evan is I'd rather have him than Aaron Gordon. Evan Fournier is the toughest dude other than DJ Augustin on this team. Like, there's no other guy who's willing to get into other dudes' faces on this team other than DJ Augustin. And I think Aaron Gordon will get you more talent back because he's perceived as this super athletic guy who's going to be doing this. But if he keeps playing on the Magic, he's always going to want to be that superstar LeBron James type. When he goes on a team that has one of those dudes, he's going to finally realize he's actually Draymond Green. And when he does that, he's going to play at a clip that he never was going to play on this Magic team. So I'd rather.
Understood.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't know why it keeps doing that.
What's up?
No, for some reason it muted you, your mic real quick towards the end. Go ahead, finish your.
I usually just mute myself whenever I'm done talking. Huh?
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just talking about Evan and Aaron Gordon. I got nothing else to add on that.
All right, you had something else, Alan?
Listen, I could do a whole hour on the Magic. So we're not even gonna go into it. I think but if we did want to do some quick NBA talk, a little debate that we was having. Who is the best NBA team to not win a championship? So, we're talking about probably within our age bracket, the era between the teams that Jordan kind of stopped. I feel like the 2000s and the 2010s were a little bit more spread out as far as parity is concerned, unless you was in the Eastern Conference. But in totality, probably within the last 20, 25 years, who do y'all think was the best team? And it could be talent. It could just be from top to bottom. Who was the best team from top to bottom to not win an NBA championship? So before I give my take, I want to hear from you.
I think, me personally, I think it was the Lakers team that lost to the Detroit Pistons in that finals.
Yeah.
You had Shaq, you had Gary Payton, you had Karl Malone, you had all of these. Who else was on that team? Shaq, Karl Malone, Gary Payton,
Shaq and Kobe.
Kobe. No,
Derek
forget
Fisher.
Kobe. Derek Fisher. Like, that team was stacked, and they had Phil Jackson. So, I think that was team. If they just. Unfortunately, God rest his soul, Kobe Bryant. But if they just I know he wanted to show out, and him and Shaq was having that beef. But they should have just threw the ball down to Shaq and had him go to work instead of him trying to win the game on his own. So I think that's a missed opportunity. I think I believe when he sat down with Shaq, he actually said that too, that there was a missed opportunity because of their off the court issues. They let that one slip away because he could have had 6.
Yeah. I don't know if we got 6, but we should have won 04. I'm with you on that. That Karl Malone, Gary Payton year was solid for the Lakers team, and it was that's the thing that's the most annoying about it. It was the locker room thing. If Shaq and Kobe could have figured it out, they would have won at least one more title, if not a couple more after that, if they stayed together. Yeah. But I think that's probably the best one. I would go with a different one just to get something else out there, but the 2016 Oklahoma Thunder that blew that 3-1 lead before the Warriors blew their 3-1 lead. I think it was the year before KD left. They were up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals. Russ, KD, Steven Adams, Serge Ibaka. That team was probably one of the most talented and most mature, because you can go back to the Oklahoma City team that lost to Miami in their first finals appearance, or their only finals appearance actually. That had James Harden on it, but James wasn't the same James we know of now in Houston. But this team that lost to Golden State was probably the most talented and most mature team that they had, and probably would have went on and beat that Cleveland Cavaliers team, I think.
All right. So in other news, thanks, Alan. I appreciate the NBA news. As we are approaching our wrap up, we definitely had some other topics and other news that we wanted to touch on real quick. I was gonna say Jesse, what do we have in our other news, in our pop culture and entertainment news?
What's up? So many of you guys may or may not know Lori Harvey, who is the daughter of Steve Harvey. So she recently was on Instagram and she posted a few stuff on her Instagram story, one of which was her watching T-Pain. And there was a sonogram that a lot of Instagram users peeped, and they thought it was hers. And as many of you guys may already know, that she's dating Future, so they automatically assumed it was his baby, especially Future. You know, the rapper that already got like 6 babies. So obviously a lot of people assumed, damn, like, you let him get you pregnant, girl? Like, why did you do that? But a lot of other people were like, her sister is pregnant, so it's probably her sonogram. Now, Lori hasn't responded to the comments yet. She has not confirmed or denied if she is pregnant by Future's baby mama, she's not pregnant by Future, but I'm going to say that she's not. She did post videos afterwards of her in the gym and stuff. And, I kind of like her approach. I hope she doesn't address it. I hope she ignores it and goes on with her life, because at the end of the day, it's nobody's business whether she is or she's not. But I also hope that she's not, because she don't really need to be branded as, Future's 9th baby mama.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you dating Future, he gonna get you pregnant. It's inevitable. No. I predicted this in the beginning of the year. Like, she been out in these streets, Diddy's son, all these other people. Future is the measuring stick when it comes. He is the stop sign. He is the come to Jesus moment where it's like, you need to slow down. And what better way to slow down than Future put a baby in that.
She is young. She's 23 and he's like in his late 30s. She does not need to be getting pregnant by him. But if she does, that's her business. And that's her business, period. If that's what she wants to do, that's what she wants to do. But I don't know. I just feel like she don't need to do that.
And if she does get pregnant, I don't want to hear nobody caping for her or talking about how wrong he's treating her, because she literally had a blueprint as to how he treats his baby mamas. So it's like it's like, look, you can't be upset, look, for instance, the whole diabetes thing, right? When they said, hey, you got diabetes, I could have been like, oh, come on. I didn't know. Like, no, there's plenty of facts, nutrition, all stuff. Like, you ignored shit. Like, for a smoker who gets cancer, like, it's not great, but it's like, if you're continuously smoking and doing things, the side effects. We are all aware of the side effects of Future. All of us. So, Godspeed. Alan, you have anything to add?
No, absolutely not. I don't care about either of these people. Shout out to Steve Harvey.
I feel you, Alan. It's like whoop-de-doo. She's pregnant if she is. If she isn't. If she is.
But listen, do y'all feel like it's a little ironic?
It's like, who cares?
Listen, but do y'all feel like it's a little ironic that her father wrote a book, a dating book about think like a man? And
no, look at all these passive kids out here wilding out.
With who?
People like kids always do the opposite of what their parents are teaching them. It seems sometimes, especially if they're like extreme, like they're super religious or they're super whatever they are. Their kids usually rebel and do the complete opposite.
I don't know what Think Like a Man is about, but if I'm just going off the title, it seems like she's moving in a free-spirited way. So,
in the right direction.
Yeah, so if we're talking like that, then that means that she will be following the footsteps of the book, no?
Is that what we call it in 2020? Free spirit? She's moving in a
She's not
way?
She's not. She knows what she's doing. That's all I'm saying.
Never mind. I'm not even going to say it.
No, say it. Say it.
Say it.
Are men intentionally impregnating hoes? Like, I feel like Future is like in correlation to like a hoe, so to say. Like, he's just knocking people up. He's not with any of the mothers. And it's just like, what's the point? Like, do men really think like that? Like, I'm going to be with this woman. She got like 6 baby daddies. I'm going to go ahead and put a baby up in her
I think
too.
they just be so in the moment that they don't even think about what they're doing until it's too late.
No,
he has like another like 2 women who are claiming that he's the baby mama or baby father, and he's denying it. So, sometimes they just get so wrapped up into the moment. They know exactly what they're doing, but they cannot face the consequences.
Future can't get pregnant by himself. He didn't have these babies by himself. Sam, you have something to add?
Right. He knew exactly what he was doing. So it's both parties. He knew what he was doing. TJ, don't do that.
Well, in general, the point that I was making is that I know men who actually are thoughtful about like what woman they're gonna like impregnate, so to say. So like they're smart about it. So men aren't necessarily thinking like that, like just moving around, shooting up people. But I guess Future is an example of men who are doing that. I just know the ones who are a little more thoughtful in that process. They might be screwing people, but they're not getting them pregnant. Like, they are sure about the women they want to have their children.
I know both Ish. I know the guys
she's not necessarily thinking like a man. She's not necessarily.
I know both Ish. I know the guys who they legit think about what they're doing and they're safe, and they don't move that way. But there's other guys that I also know who get really wrapped up into the moment, and it's kind of like, if it happens, it happens. You gonna take the pill or not? It's everybody's different.
Woo. Oh Lord, it's growing. Sam, I know this has been out of your wheelhouse. Did you have anything anything to add? Sam is happily in a relationship, and Sam's probably like, look, what the hell?
I'm just trying to stay out of trouble. That's all I'm saying. I mean, there's a couple things. One, I missed the Steve Harvey show. I'm a little mad that the Kelly Clarkson show replaced it. Like, I'm not okay with that. I know Steve is the one that stepped away, wasn't canceled, but I like it, every time I'm at work, it's on the TV because it's one like it was on ABC, and we have to stay on ABC in one of our channels. So I remember looking up and watching Steve Harvey show. So I missed that a little bit. Second comment would be I'm just thinking about the Future's baby mamas. Like, he got Sierra and he got Lori Harvey. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like he's going for like just like random girls who are nobodies, right? He's getting if Lori is pregnant, like, he's at least shooting up. He's getting like girls in the upper echelon.
So we're not talking about the ones before. I mean, I don't know who they are, so I can't even say anything.
And that's where they remain.
He's around now. It's kind of like whatever level he was on, he was still getting people pregnant. He's just at a different level right now, meeting different people. But before, he had already 5 or 6 kids.
But
why
are we talking about Future when we got to talk about? But I guess we're not ready to have that conversation about personal responsibility.
Talk about the women.
Yeah, we're not ready for that conversation. That's not.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. For me personally, I would be very conscious. Like, if you're already at 6 or 7, first of all, I'm conscious of what I want, like how many kids I want to raise, and that exceeds my limit. Like 6, 7, 8, I'm just like, nah, bro, I'm good. Like, I'm trying to live life at some point.
How many kids do you want, Ish?
For like out my body, 2 is my limit.
Okay, so one more. What about you, Jess?
I have 2, but if I get married, I want to have 4. Like I want 2 more with a total of 4 because I really want a girl, but I don't want to have another kid without being married because I just don't. Okay, we can talk about this on another show.
You're not on trial. She's like, no further questions.
But
Further questions.
What you think about being married? What Jess is saying about being married, that's like one of my points. Like he hasn't, to my knowledge, married any of these women. And it's like, if you can see the pattern, unless that's not your goal, like every woman, like we just talked about Rihanna, she doesn't even care if she's married to the man or if he's even there, period, to help raise, like according to the last show. So it depends on like what your values are and what you want. But for me, I wouldn't want a guy who has shown he's not going to stay. You know, because my goal is to, like, if I have another baby, I want a guy who's excited and plans to be a father and plans to be there and married and, like, raise the family with me. So for me, future would be like, nah, bruh.
Right.
All right, so I know we definitely could talk about that on a future podcast. No pun intended. See what I did there, Alan? We got one more story about diving into some politics. Bernie says goodbye.
Oh, yeah. Long story short, Bernie is out of the election, guys. As you guys, I'm sure, have heard, as we have been expecting. Now, Bernie did say that he is going to pivot and assist Mr. Biden in anything that he would need. He's going to try to rally the troops, the Bernie bros. There was also a story that came out today that in some sort of compromise that Joe Biden would be introducing a plan to waive student debt for public school undergrads, which is a little bit lower level of what Bernie was trying to do. So it looks like there's been some sort of pivoting going on, some talks. They said that, they've been speaking. So essentially they've come together to try to eliminate the big bad wolf. Well, what do you guys think about this? And what do you think Bernie's biggest legacy will be?
Me personally,
well,
I think.
if you guys, I don't really follow. Yeah, go ahead. No,
go ahead.
Okay, good, because I'm gonna be 2 seconds, because if you guys know me, I don't really follow politics. I don't like politics like that. But what I do know is that Bernie was going to cancel student loan, and I'm really mad that he dropped out. But I mean, I'm really sad about that. But I don't really get too much into politics. I just know that I want Trump out. So, I mean, what did you say about Biden? What is he trying to do about public undergrad?
Well, so essentially what a plan that was announced today is that he's exploring trying to eliminate school debt for undergrads of public schools. So as of right now, that plan doesn't include any private university.
All right, great.
Okay, now, really quick, I'm just going to speak like on behalf of private universities. Howard is a private university, and baby, we need the relief, just like the public schools, just FYI. So they need to immediately reconsider that plan. Just because like these private schools, we're expected to have money and this and that, it's not true for whatever percentage of the population, and you need to care about those people too.
Sorry, here at the Florida A&M University is the largest public HBCU. Yes, so my student loans will be forgiven. So look, maybe I'll be able to help you out, Ish, but depending on who's in there. But I honestly, in all seriousness, I think Bernie Sanders, like I said on my social media, Bernie Sanders was never a perfect candidate. But I do believe, and he will never be president. We all know that now. But I do believe that with his political ideology and challenging the status quo of the Democratic establishment and really sparking the idea that we should focus on, to have the notion that we should focus on working class people and poor people instead of the top 1%. And this fictitious notion of the trickle-down economics thing that is really not something that, we know as the working class that happens. So I don't think – so Bernie Sanders will never be president, but I do believe that he and what he stood for and the movement that he sparked, especially among young voters, I do believe that he will spark change and ideas in future presidents to come. I think he was definitely before his time. I think the country wasn't ready. When you talk about the baby boomers and you talk about African Americans, older African Americans in the South, they're very much with the status quo. And so it's Joe Biden's responsibility now to win those voters, and for Biden's campaign not to shame people into just voting because it's blue. So, or else if he doesn't, Trump will be the first impeached president to win an election, and nobody will be able to tell him a damn thing. And look, and so we have that to look forward to in the coming months. Sam, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I was completely wrong. I dive into a little bit of politics in my podcast. I predicted that Pete Buttigieg was going to win the nom, so I was completely off, especially after Joe had a real tough start. I thought he was dead. I declared Joe Biden is dead in the water and he will not win the nomination. I was clearly wrong. I underestimated the power of the DNC machine, like wanting to exert their influence on who their nominee was. And that's exactly what happened. We saw it in Super Tuesday with Elizabeth Warren staying in until Super Tuesday votes were in, and then completely just, I guess, slashing the vote in half for Bernie, and the votes that would have gone to Bernie went to Warren, or, some of them went to Warren, and Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar bowing out before Super Tuesday. So those votes would essentially head to Joe Biden. So I underestimated how much the DNC was willing to interfere with this election, and in my opinion, I think they went out there and they talked to Klobuchar and they talked to Buttigieg. So like, you guys aren't going to win, drop out. So Joe wins, and they went to Warren. It's like staying until after Super Tuesday, cut Bernie Sanders' legs from under him. So I should have been more aware, especially after 2016 and how Bernie got screwed there, that the DNC was gonna try to pull something like this again. And personally, like, as a registered Democrat, I'm a little disappointed that they continue to insert themselves in the voting process of the Democratic nominees. Like, I'm at the point where, like, I want to be nothing at this point. Like, I'm not a Republican. Like, I'm a registered Democrat. I kind of don't want to be a Democrat because every time that these candidates come in, they're not letting the process play out. By the time Florida got around, the only two people on the ballot were Joe and Bernie. And I'm like, okay, like, now I was going to vote for Buttigieg because I thought he was going to win. And now now I guess I got to vote between Joe and Bernie, and the process doesn't even play out, and Bernie drops out. So it's frustrating to me. And like you said, Bernie's not a perfect candidate. I probably would have voted for him if everybody was there, but it's a little frustrating to me. And I'm kind of over the Democratic Party as an organization.
Yeah, I definitely think there's.
I think though, like.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the way that I look at it is that we were just gonna have another like split party if Bernie had stayed in the race. Like, it's neither here or there for me. I don't agree necessarily with the decision, but I realized from having conversations with like Bernie supporters and Biden supporters that we were split as a party. And so essentially, I think if we had gotten to the election in November, we were just gonna basically count ourselves out anyway, because we were gonna split our vote and then put Trump back in office for another term. So I think they did probably foresee that happening and just took Bernie out the race so that we can't even dispute like between the two. Now we are left with really that choice of Biden to kind of solve that.
Yeah, I agree with that mindset, but to me, politics and government, it's all about letting the process play out and you making that decision based on your own free will. Like if the government's telling me, or if the Democratic Party is telling me like, nah, you're going to have to vote for Joe Biden. Like, I don't want that. I want to pick my nominee, Like, even if you're right, like
right.
I think you make a really solid point. But even that being correct, I still want to be able to choose my own candidate.
Yeah.
Right. I agree, and same here.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a large exodus of people. It's going to be very interesting how the Biden campaign comes up with a game plan to see how are they going to get these young voters to come out. People are with everything that's going on in the world, and they got the coronavirus and social distancing, if this lasts until November, and people are like, it's gonna decrease voter turnout, where you need massive voter turnout in order for Trump to be dethroned, so to speak, out of that office, or thrown out of that office. So, or to be defeated. So, we'll see. It's their responsibility. But I will say this: it's, I don't believe in any of this shaming that's going on within the Democratic Party. Like, oh, if you don't vote, it's going to be a vote for Trump. If you don't, no. That's not how the democratic process works. You vote for something. You don't vote in fear of something. So he has to, and I think today he started with, making sure that he kind of massages those Bernie supporters and those independents with the student loans, and talking about some of these business loans and these different things. So down the road, we're going to see a lot of different policies produced. So, and it's going to depend on who he picks as its VP, to see if he needs to energize VP pick, and we'll definitely see. And the Soapbox will keep you all abreast on what's going on in 2020. So, as we wrap up, we do this every show. We do our moral of the story, and I'm gonna go around the horn, let's start with Jesse today. I never start with Jesse. Jesse, let's start with you. Moral of the story for the podcast. What's your moral of the story?
Moral of the story is wrap it up with those that you don't want to impregnate you, and that the Knicks and the Giants is gonna bring it home for us this year.
Ooh. We got to get you drug tested. Well, that hard take. I was joking. Go ahead, Ish, what's your moral of the story?
The moral of the story for me is to keep balance. Make sure you're washing your hands still, even if you are a little unruly like myself and you see a friend or two. Make sure you're wearing your mask and, washing your hands, washing your body, staying out of groups and all of that good stuff. As far as sports, good luck, fellas. As far as if it's even going to be an NFL season, we can't call that right now. But I wish you guys luck. And yeah, get out and vote. Make sure you get out and vote if you do want to make a difference. And still, even if you feel like your candidate has been taken away, do your part on an individual level, you still can make a difference.
All right, word. Alan, what's your moral of the story?
The moral of the story is you don't have anything else to do but make yourself better and take more naps. So do what you can during this time. Continue washing your hands. Continue checking on your people if you can. And November's a long ways away, so it's probably best for us to at least stay inside till August. And I'm sure this is probably gonna be my motor story for the next 5 months, because I keep seeing y'all at the beach on my IG Live, and I want y'all to go home. Thank you.
I know my birthday is coming up, Alan, and I can't even do anything. I'm so tired.
You better sit down and have a cupcake.
I'm in July. It's over.
I'm in April. My birthday's in 2 weeks. Well, a week and a half.
We're going to have a soapbox toast for you.
Thank you. That's next week.
Next week, we have this. Next week's episode is the happy hour soapbox sip. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause for not only Sam Albuquerque for being our guest, but also Tavaris Barnes, XFL player for the DC Defenders, who had to run, but he sends his best regards. Sam, what's your moral of the story?
The NFL draft is the only thing I look forward to now.
Life as you know it is just over. It's just the NFL.
Is this the first time it makes sense that the draft? It seems like
I don't know. All I know is that it's in 2 weeks and it needs to be like a 7-day event. They need to do 1 day for each round and spread it out as much as possible, and then immediately release the entire Jordan documentary after that, because I am struggling here, guys.
I was just
like I don't even want to listen to sports talk. I don't even want to watch SportsCenter, because there's like when I watch it, it's just depressing because it just reminds me of how there's no sports, and I never realized how boring of a person I am without sports.
It's okay. You're not boring. You just need to find something else besides sports that you like.
Yeah, I probably have to read or something. I don't know. Seems exhausting.
Well, wait, Sam. I know this is, but you're in a relationship. So do y'all quarantine together? Like, how does that work? I'm fascinated for people who are in relationships. Like, how do they like get together? Are y'all like, nah, let's just do the quarantine thing, or do y'all like like
we FaceTime about 6 hours a day.
Aww.
You seem excited about that, Sam.
No, I'm just so my girlfriend has lived in Sarasota before, so we kind of got used to doing the not long distance, but only seeing each other on weekends. So this isn't as different. We carve out a day where I just go to her house and watch a movie and hang out on Saturdays. But my schedule is not very different. Like I work 6 days a week, sometimes 7. So I'm at the station regardless. So whenever I get a day off, and it's been Saturday these past couple weeks, I just kind of head to her house, we watch a movie, and when I am home, we just FaceTime a bunch.
All right. Well, my moral of the story is, and I definitely want to thank Sam for being here, but my moral of the story is, hey, if you get a second chance, be prepared. All right? Be prepared. As you heard Tavaris was talking about, he in his earlier years in the NFL, he was a little bit immature, but then he got his second chance. And when he got his second chance, he was ready. So I told everybody that's listening to this podcast, this could be that pause button that you need so that you can set yourself up and develop your skills or whatever you got to do to have your second chance. Or this might be the perfect time for you to sit down and just relax. Like Alan said, take some naps, make sure that you take care of you, your mental health, your state, so that when the world starts spinning again, you are good, running, and ready to go. And also, I will say this, Sam. I don't know, did Jerry tell you about our interaction on Twitter?
Jerry Daniels?
Yes.
No. Actually, Jerry's not allowed in the studio, so he's doing the show from home. So I haven't seen or talked to Jerry in a couple weeks.
Listen, Jerry Daniels challenged me to come on to Live, Local, and Loud because we're having a debate or whatever. Like, we have the correspondence. He's been in DM. He invited me several times. We just couldn't work it out with the schedules or whatever. But I hope to be on ESPN 580 on your turf soon.
Yeah, let's do it.
But let him know. You don't have to be. I'm coming with the heat. He doesn't have to be scared of my takes. All right.
I will let him know. I'll shoot him a text here in the next coming days. Let him know. We do a thing on Live Local Loud called Friends Friday. So we always bring people who listen to the show on. We used to bring them into the studio, not anymore. So I'm sure he'll line you up for that once that starts back up.
Yeah. Well, I'm here, and look, and they're more than welcome to. Thank you guys for what you're doing here locally, and you're more than welcome to. They're more than welcome to be on the show. Him, Nicky Football. I'm actually a fan of Nicky Football. We don't always agree on everything he says, but I think the dude is talented. I could definitely tell that from
Nicky Football is a star in the making. That, like, the way that guy's brain works is insane. If you have a conversation about him about anything outside of like not at work, like you go have dinner or something like that, he turns everything into a segment. Like, his mind is like ABC, always be contenting. Like, it's so crazy how his mind works. He's the best packager of any story. Like, you give him a take and he like packages in a way that it's kid special. That's all I'm saying. I love Nicky Football.
As someone who is, and the people on the Soapbox, they know this. Like, when they call me, they're like, well, what are you doing? I'm up at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and usually what I'm doing is, because I was not traditionally trained as far as, doing broadcasting. So I'm, teaching myself and basically, learning, taking reps, mental reps, writing things down, writing segments, trying to fine tune this craft. And so he's one of the guys, yourself included, listen to your podcast, Take a Left at Albuquerque. So hey man, just keep doing what you're doing, and thank you so much for being on the Soapboxx Podcast. You're welcome back anytime. All right.
Thank you, my man. I appreciate you guys.
Where can they find you on Twitter, real quick? Where can they find you on Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter and Instagram at Sam B Albuquerque. Albuquerque's a little long to spell, so it's you just like the city in New Mexico, ALBUQUERQUE. Give me a follow on there. I think it's good content. I think I do not terrible content anyway.
I like it. And I didn't know that you had an Instagram. So
yeah,
I'll tag you.
Yeah, you can do my Instagram. It's just mainly, honestly, just pictures of me and my girlfriend, and when I traveled, which is not anymore because of quarantine.
Okay.
My sports takes are on Twitter. Pictures of my lovely girlfriend Sarah on Instagram, and a couple travel pictures.
Got you. Well, for Alan, for Jess. Oh, let me do that again. For Alan, for Jesse, for Ish, for Tavaris, for Sam Albuquerque, this is the Soapboxx Podcast. We miss sports. We miss you. Make sure you stay tuned on the Soapboxx Podcast. Peace.